Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest is the best, quite possibly the greatest living actress. She's currently starring in the brilliant Florian Zeller play at the Atlantic, The Mother. In it, Isabelle Huppert plays a woman miserable with her husband and desperate to reconnect to her son as he grows up and away from her. Please welcome Isabelle Huppert and the son in The Mother as well, Justice Smith. Let's hear it. Last night was the first time I ever got to see you on stage, acting in person, and it's nothing short of a thrill and a miracle. I feel like I should have saved all of my compliments for you that I gave you in the green room for this moment right now. But what made you want to do this play?
The play. I read it. I read it in English in the first place. I hadn't seen it in France when the French production was on, and a producer from here, Jeffrey Richard, asked me to read it and asked me if I would like to do it. And in fact, I loved it. I thought it was a great role, great possibility for an actress to go from something very funny and to something very sad. I mean, it covers a great range of emotions and irony and humor. I thought the role was really very complete. And so I decided I would do it. I hadn't seen any other Florian Zeller's plays before, but in the meantime, I've seen The Son, because The Mother is part of a trilogy, The Father, The Son, and The Mother. And The Son is really good too. It's a wonderful play. He's a really great writer.
You know, as you said, so much of your performance walks this thin line between comedy and tragedy, sadness, happiness, and everything she's shooting for. When you're doing it on the stage, have you calculated how you're going to play each moment and which part is going to be played for laughs and which part is going to be played for sadness? Because it does feel like you could go both ways any night.
Of course, but no, I didn't really measure it when I first read it. I mean, I think intuitively and without exactly putting precise names on it, you know, I had the intuition that it could be that way. And in fact, as soon as we started rehearsing with Trip Cullman, the director, in the rehearsal room, very quickly, I think the writing of the play, the language, carries that in itself, and the potential of this mixed of being funny and being sad and being was very much there. And in fact, it's something I found very, very early when we started rehearsing.
Right, like a great play, anything that's well written in terms of a play or a movie, the scenes can kind of carry themselves in terms of whether or not they should be happy or sad.
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly.
Justice, congratulations. You're wonderful in the play as well.
Thank
in
you
a
so
lot
much.
of ways, you are kind of a straight man to Isabelle's consistently deteriorating mother. What is it like every night to be performing alongside that?
Well, she is the main reason I wanted to do this play, besides the writing and working with Trip Cullman again, because I did a play with him.
Which play did you do?
I did Yen off Broadway with him, which was my first professional play that I've done. And he's just one of the best directors I've ever worked with. So just the opportunity to work with him again and to learn from Isabelle indirectly was just, I was like, I have to take this. So being on stage with her every night and sometimes the days when we have matinees, it's just a dream come true, because we've rehearsed, some things are set in stone, but every single performance she gives a different energy, or she takes it a different route, and so you're actively responding in real time, and it immerses you completely in the play, in the piece, because you have to be conscious. You have to, because if I'm not responding correctly to what she's giving me, then I'm not supporting her correctly. And so getting that opportunity every night to do that is just, it's titillating. I don't know, that's the word that's going in my head right now.
Thank you, Justice. But I was listening to you and I thought Justice is giving the perfect definition of what of an actor, or what it means acting, responding, For me, I mean, you don't play alone; you just play with someone, and for that, Justice is really wonderful. I mean, he's a very good son, and he's a wonderful actor to be my son, and he's, in fact, yes, responding in his way, differently each evening, because that's what it is about. It's just about especially theater, I would say. I mean, movies, of course, too, but theater is really to be what you are in the very minute where you do it. You know, it's not something theoretical that you think about before. It's really being in the present time. That's for me the essential. And for that, of course, you have to be very much. You can't anticipate anything. You have to respond to what's happening when you do it.
I think one of the most amazing things about watching you perform live in a play is that on film, you are known a lot as being somewhat stoic, and what makes your performances so thrilling, whether it's in the recent Greta or if it's in something like The Piano Teacher, is we're sort of waiting for that stoicism to break, and that is so much a part of the surprise of your performances, is when there's going to be a slight crack in this presentation that your characters have put up. And with this, it's all cracks, and right from the beginning there's no stoicism. She's just sort of all over the map, and being able to watch you do both of those things is really incredible. You find little ways to inflect every moment with a new surprise, whether it's just making her dialogue go hoo-hoo at the end, or there's a dance that you put in. How calculating are you of those things when you go into a performance? What kind of homework do you do, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think I calculate. Again, I think I'm just thinking. That's why also, like Justy said, maybe I do different things every evening. Just I'm trying to be as real as possible. That's it, and to be and to be as personal also as possible. For me, theater was always a field of exploration on about your oneself, you know, and it's nothing about building a character. I was always against the definition of a character. I never say. I keep saying I don't play characters. I play states.
Versions of yourself?
Versions of myself, but I don't play a character because a character is a limitation. The character is a pure fictional invention, you know, and you don't want to be someone who does not exist. You want to be someone real, you know. So it's just about me, and that's no more and not less.
And that is probably why people have become so addicted to your presence or your charisma on screen, because so much of it feels like it could be either just a slight percentage of yourself or a large percentage of yourself.
Exactly. No, exactly. And for me, the pleasure of doing movies and of being an actress is all about that. But it's more unexpected about the theater, because the theater you are most of the time you are limited by the notion of characters, these notions which are less relevant in movies, because in movies, by definition, you work on a material that's unknown to people. Theater, most of the time, you know, there is an existing text. Well, of course, not in the case of modern plays that people don't know, but still, you know, you are more, because also the theater is a very arbitrary proposition. You know, you have, you know, the stage and the time. You know, it's all very abstract in a way. So it's more, it's less expected that you can be as free as I am on a theater stage. Because of all those limitations, but that's what I like to explore when I'm on the stage.
Right, in front of a camera, you have a take or 2 takes or 5 takes or whatever, where you can change things up here and there, and then you essentially move on. In a play, you do have to kind of calculate things to a point so you can every night get on stage and do something somewhat similar or close to what is exacting. Yeah. Do you find that you get on stage and do what you can, and Justice, you can answer this as well, you may have already, excuse me, find that when you get on stage you are looking for ways to completely change it up, to give something new to react to, or is that kind of not allowed?
Oh yes, it does, but it happens. I don't, again, it's nothing that you can expect, you know, and I think also Trip Kalman's staging and direction allows us a lot of freedom. It's very, everything is very precise, as I like, because I do believe in theater, the more limitations in terms of staging you have, and the freer you can be. And there is a certain, you know, the set and the designing of the set is very precise and a bit with precise lines. And within those lines, you know, it's very easy for the actors to, you know, be free, I think.
And that said, you get to kind of run around the stage a lot, and and you get to dance and roll around and crawl around on the stage. Justice, do you want to go back to this question that we were just talking about, though?
Yeah, I was actually going to say last night, I'm actually really happy that you saw last night, because the night before I had a terrible show where I felt very bland and everything was stale, and I just was lost because I had been doing this text over and over again, and I couldn't find the truth in it anymore. It had gotten to that point, which happens with every play that I do. But last night, I changed the process in which I start the play. So what the things that I'm doing backstage before I come on, I changed that. And when I got on stage, it completely changed everything that I was doing. I was finding physicalities that I hadn't found before. I was tapping into emotions that I hadn't tapped into during the rehearsal process. And the whole piece, for me anyways, came alive. And I was able to support everyone better in that way because I had changed things up. And that's why I always recommend to audience members to see the play twice, because it's never the same play.
Very good recommendation.
Yeah. Right? It's never the same
Never
play.
thought of that, Justice.
Make sure you sell it out every night, because that.
Yeah, it's never the same
Do you
play.
think that's something that the audience would have noticed, or that even your fellow performers notice, or is this just something that is internal for you?
I think that, well, the audience wouldn't notice it because they haven't seen the show
True.
before that night, unless it's a recurring audience member, returning audience member. But Odessa last night was like, "Justice, you're having a good show tonight," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So she can feel what I'm feeling.
Yes, you had a good show, but I have to say Justice is... about him also, that, yes, he might do what he says, like these little changes, but on the whole, is also very even, and that's what you also expect, I think, from an actor. Not to... It's complicated. You want to change things, but in a very subtle way, which makes the whole difference. Yeah. But you don't want to change everything, because otherwise that's not possible,
And everybody kind of has to play even against you and your character. Everyone is kind of the straight man to your unraveling. What is it like to sort of be the person, as much as you're reacting to everybody, but what is it like to be the sort of catalyst for every other performance in the play?
I think that in the play, everything kind of drifts between dream and reality. So I think that the way I feel things myself, my character in the play, is also that everybody around me is also a catalyst to what I do, I don't think that you can say one is the catalyst and the other. In a way, everybody is in the same boat, I would say, because it all comes from her own imagination. So, and I think that's how you read the play, and that's how you receive the play, because as you could tell, the scenes repeat twice in slightly different way. So you are never exactly sure who is who. I mean, the characters are not clearly defined for that. So I don't have this sense that I'm the crazy one, and everybody is kind of, straight around me. On the contrary, everybody is a bit, unsettled, right, because it's all part of her imagination also.
One of the things that I loved about the elliptical nature of the play is that you don't have to put the pieces of the puzzle together. It's not this kind of dream or reality where you have to, by the end, go, well, that part was a dream and this part was a reality. And these are the pieces of the puzzle. It's not that, and it's not supposed to be that at all. It's like a beautiful poem that you can kind of let wash over you and get all the images and the feelings of. And if you want to go back, you can parse out the little
Absolutely.
details. And it works and is satisfying either way.
As I was listening to you, it's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, the play has also a poetical dimension, and that's how you have to take it. You don't want to be too precise. This is dream. This is reality. I mean, no. You have just to let yourself be taken by it, and there is a lot of poetry to it.
Yeah, that was something that I kind of had to reconcile within the rehearsal process, was trusting the text. Because it usually, as an actor, you get a piece of text, and then you make choices based off of the character's background. But we don't have a lot of information about these characters because they are figments, or well, one theory is that they are figments of her mind, of her mental state. So you have to kind of, like Isabelle was saying, let the text flow through you, trust the text to propel you forward in the story, because if you make any defined choices, it could steer you off onto a wrong path. Not saying that you can't make choices at all, but you have to be wary of that.
Did you find it all during rehearsals that you would ask, is this scene a dream or is this scene reality? And the answer would be like, it doesn't matter.
We would ask that question all the time.
All the time. That's true. And
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, we kept thinking that it is, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. I'm not sure we have the answers.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the beginning, well, I don't want to reveal too much. I think it's unfair. But you can imagine that the whole thing is a dream. In fact, that she was asleep from the beginning, and it's a dream, and at the end, she wakes up for that nightmare. I mean, everything is possible.
To me, it's like the experience of a dream or someone telling you about a dream. Like, I don't care if it was a dream. I just want to feel it. I just want to know the feeling and have that satisfaction by the end of the play. I'm curious. You've been acting for a number of years now, your whole life. When did you discover if you have one, which it seems like you do, a philosophy of acting, how you approach acting? Was it at the beginning of your career, or was it somewhere in the middle?
I think it was since the very, very beginning of my, let's say, I don't really like the word career, let's say, my journey as an actress, but only I wasn't necessarily very much aware of it. It's over the years that I started to think that about how much it meant for me in terms of freedom and all those things. I was explaining, about playing persons, not characters. I mean, but I think it's what I did from the very beginning, although I wasn't completely aware of what I was doing. But I didn't really change. It was, from the start.
I feel like I talk to a lot of actors, and I talk to so many young actors or older actors who reflect on their younger period, where they say, I felt like I had to be in character all the time, and I was like trying to live like the character, and this, and that. And then eventually I realized, as I got older, that I didn't necessarily have to do that to deliver a good performance. Did you ever have periods of your life where you felt like you needed to behave or live a certain way to create a good performance?
Oh, by no means. No, I'm too lazy for that, I'm very no. Oh my God. No. I mean, I think it's a very mental process for me. It's just, to think about it and I never did any research, for anything I did. I'm not this kind of actress, and I'm very, very, I just do it. Of course, I think about it a lot. I mean, I know exactly what I'm doing. That's not what I mean. But I don't, I don't have to think so much about the, for example, the past of the character or what would she. I mean, this kind of thing. No, it's not for me. I've just. I think also a play and a film, but maybe even more so a film as a life in itself, and you have to let a lot of the work is being taken in charge by the film itself, by the director. And the film has a very organic life, which is enough telling. So you don't want to carry to bear all the responsibility in a way, and what you have to do. The character is also defined by the cinema is visual, So if you see the way you are dressed, the designing, the location. It gives so much information to the spectators. So within this, you just have to make your little cooking within this, but you don't have to overdo it, to do it too much. Because anyway, no matter what you do, and I'm always very surprised by this. Sometimes I say to myself, I'm surprised how people react to my performance, saying certain things that I had no idea that it would be either so visible or so much perceived the way sometimes people perceive it. And that's why, because it's the film itself, which puts a certain light to your performance, no matter what you do. And I'm always very surprised about that, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you love. Oh, sorry, Jess.
Oh
go ahead.
no,
please.
I was just gonna kind of like off the idea that we're talking about. Sometimes I've noticed as a young actor and kind of starting this journey myself, I've played with different processes and am trying to find what works for me when I approach a character. And when I first started, I tried living as the character, but then I realized that's not something that you need to do on every single project, and sometimes it hinders you. Like for this play, you saw the play, so my character when he first enters, and I think I can say this, he comes from just having just woken up, and he's in a state of melancholy, and what I would do is I would take a nap before I would come on, just so I could be groggy. But then it was killing my energy for the whole show. So then what I did last night, which is when I had a really good show, was I was trying to find ways to actively be sad by listening to loud sad music, listening like generating that energy in my body, so that way I could just feign being groggy in the beginning, but then propel myself through the rest of the piece. So it's kind of like
It's the old
you never
Dustin
know.
Hoffman story with Lawrence Olivier,
Yeah,
right?
where it's like try acting.
It's called acting, man.
It's called acting. Yeah.
Why don't you act?
Yeah, but I do respect actors who feel that they need to immerse themselves in the character. I don't fault them, but I just think that it depends on it just depends on the project, you know. Yeah. I think everyone has their own way in.
Yes, because it's also, I mean, you can't speak about doing a movie or a play without speaking about the director. I mean, an actor doesn't exist by himself, you know, and I only do performances upon the look of certain people, and that's for me the key to everything. Nothing other.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because you love cinema, you love movies, and you love directors. And I'm curious if when you go into working with a director, you know how to modulate yourself to their world. Like Paul Verhoeven's world is a very different world than Neil Jordan's. That one is much more. Neil Jordan's world, especially in Greta, is very heightened, exaggerated, and that is what is fun about it. The irony of Paul Verhoeven is underneath, and there's a cynicism laced, like buried underneath the characters, and then someone like Haneke is very stoic and very driven. Do you think about that stuff when you go into the performances, or do you let them guide you there?
You don't even have to think about it. It's something that it happens. It's all about, you know, intuition and sensation, but it's not something conscious, and it's certainly not something that you do on purpose. But yes, you just understand the world of a director, and usually if the director is like such people like, you know, Paul Verhoeven or Neil Jordan or Michael Haneke, I mean, they are such strong people and with a strong universe and with such an idea of what they are doing that there is never any limitations or problems or questions that you wouldn't have answers to, because the direction is the answer to whatever question you can ask to yourself. So it's not you know, you do a character, you have to do a scene, and if the director is like one of those three people, for example,
or Claire Denis,
or whoever, you know, I mean, usually the way they are going to film you is the exact good answer to whatever question you can have about the feeling that we have to express at the moment you're supposed to express that feeling, and that's as simple as this, you know. So
you're basically, you can trust that wherever they're putting the camera is going to capture you in the exact way that you and them want to be captured in that moment to tell the story.
Well, you have to trust them. It's all about trust, actually. If you don't trust them, then you can't do it. So it's all about this, you know, mutual trust. They have to trust you, also, and I think they do. But you have to trust them also.
Are you drawn to extremes in regards to acting and the characters that you want to play? Do you personally just sort of like extremes?
Well, I think that's the only good reason to make movies and plays and write books, and it's to go to the extremes. If you, That's why that's why I know it because I'm an actress, but I'm also a spectator. I'm also a reader, and this is what I expect from films, to be radical, to be to show me things that I hopefully wouldn't do in normal life, and that's what it is about. So it doesn't scare me. It at the most it amuses me because that's and depends what you call on extremes, So, but yes,
Has there ever been a movie that has scared you? Do you get scared? Like, do you get scared at the movies ever?
As a spectator, yeah, I think I was really scared by comment ça s'appelait? Oh my God, So Massacre, Chainsaw. You remember?
The Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, that was scary. Oh my God.
But also quite artful and beautiful movie.
You were watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The original.
Yeah, the original.
It's a beautiful. Have you ever seen it? It's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, but
great movie.
I just would never
But
expect
I
you
was
to be watching
freaking. I mean, I was really scared. Did you see it? No.
Are you talking about when it? Did you see it when it came out? Is that
Yeah.
what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Maybe the last great scary movie, I think, too.
I think so too. Yes. Yeah, it was a great film, but that was really scary. Yeah.
It's true. Great answer. I think we have a question from Twitter. The question is, Justice, how did you personally prepare for the role? Was speaking French intimidating to approach? He doesn't really speak French all that much in it.
Yeah, I don't really speak French all that much. Je parle français un peu.
Très bien français.
Merci, c'est très
Très bien.
gentil.
Non, pas très gentil. Il parle très bien français. He could perform in French.
Mais Isabelle helps me a lot with my French because she speaks to me in French all the time.
Speaking French to him.
Yeah.
No one can understand us.
Yeah, exactly. So we have our little back and forth. How did you personally prepare for the role? I think it was just a lot of listening and responding and absorbing what Isabelle was giving me and also just, yeah, I mean, it's mostly that. It's just listening and responding to everyone on stage.
The next question from Twitter is Isabelle, how do you maintain your energy throughout the play while doing 2 shows a day?
Yeah, that's the question that everybody. I mean, everyone in New York does 2 matinees, 2 shows a day. Everyone on Broadway, everyone everywhere in the world. It's nothing really special, but it's funny because it's a question that people keep asking you. How do you do? Well, you do it. You just do it. It's not the end of the day. It's plus it's only 1 hour and a half. It's not like it was 4 hours. It's so you just
Really short
do it, and in fact, you know what? I like it. I like doing it twice. It's very, very. I like it.
Isn't there a sense of adrenaline that you have as well while you're doing the show? That like if you weren't doing a show or if you weren't doing stuff, you'd probably be more exhausted?
No, I don't think so. I really, you do it the first time, and plus I like matinees because also to play at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not the normal time that you would normally go see a show. But it is not in a way. So yourself, you are not exactly the same as you would be in the evening. I mean, you are not the same in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening. So I think that makes a difference. You know that the audience is not the same. And as for doing it twice, it's a nice feeling. It's a very nice feeling because I think you have even more energy the second time than the first. Don't you think? And it never really bothered me. Never.
I prefer matinees personally. I feel like I take in movies or plays in a different way at 2 o'clock in the afternoon than I do at night.
It's like I love watching movies in the morning too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. You're so alert and clued in. I think we have 2 questions from the audience. What do we have? Hi, right there.
Hi there. Isabelle, you talk about playing characters, and I just watched the series 10%. I was addicted to it and ran through the 3 seasons in like a week. It was insane, and I loved your episode. I wanted to ask you what it was like to play yourself, and also what the writing process was. I was just very curious about that too. Do they take your thoughts into consideration, and what your whole experience was in this project?
In fact, it's interesting, because when you play yourself like that, and that's the principle that series, all actors or celebrity, they play a slightly exaggerated version of themselves, or they play a version of what they think that people have, people's perception might have of you, which is, of course, a little bit different from the reality. because I'm not jumping from one set to the other every day in my life, you know. But that's what the episode is about, you know, going from one film to another and rehearsing a play at the same time. I mean, these kind of things. But in fact, it's funny because even if you play yourself, in fact, it's like you were playing a character. I mean, I play me, but you know, I mean, it's no different from playing another character. It's very interesting. But also this episode, I did it with this French director called Marc Fitoussi, with whom I had done 2 movies already before. One with my daughter. My daughter is an actress, Lolita Shama, and we were playing mother and daughter. It's a very good comedy called Copacabana, and I did another film with him. So we know each other quite well, and so we were able to really collaborate and share the work together. And we have also the same sense of humor.
You know, I'm curious. It's well documented, as I said before, that you love movies, that you're a big film buff. Do you remember the first movie that changed your life, that made you feel like, I want to dedicate myself to performing and to being a part of this?
You mean the first film I saw or I did?
The first film that you saw that made you sort of recognize the art in the art within the medium.
I never had this kind of revelation, I have to say. I saw very few films when I was little. I really believe it grew within myself, but without, you know, I was compare, not that I compare myself to the Bronte sisters, but if you take the Bronte sisters, for example, who spent their whole life locked, I mean, not locked, but, you know, in this little village in the north of England, and all these crazy stories came out of. I could say the same, you know. I do believe that you could be an actress without coming out of your room, you know, in a way. So it's
Performer.
really, yeah, it's really a very interior process. And of course, again, as a spectator, I love doing movies. I love read books. I love going. I'm very curious, you know. I love being a watcher, but I'm not sure that it has any influence on my imaginary process, which is completely, you know, between me and me. But it's nothing to do with what I experience as a spectator. It's weird, but it's true.
One more from the audience. What do we have here? Right here.
Hi. I have an online question for you. You're wondering, do you have any ritual before a show, and when does this start for you? Like right when you wake up, or a few hours before the show?
It's a good question, but I don't. No, I don't have any ritual. No, just a little bit of silence, and but not no. On the contrary, I would say I try to take it as simple as possible. I try also to, because you can imagine when to perform, you know, it's a very unusual event, you know, to be it's a live event, you know, you are there in front of people alive, you know, it's a very strange experience. So I try to bring it to think it's very, very normal, you know, it's something, you know, not so unusual. Otherwise, if you can be easily overwhelmed by the strangeness of the situation. You know, it's so weird to be there on the stage in front of people, don't you think? Yeah. So I try to really convince myself that it's nothing.
Try to keep it as casual as possible?
As casual as possible, yes.
Is that why, I mean, I can't imagine this is the exact reason why, but when you walk into the theater and sit down, you are already sitting on stage. I know it's a reflection of this character being alone, but at the same time, it is sort of an interesting introduction to you and to the show. Yes, it's, well, I think it's mainly just to see someone waiting and maybe being bored, you know, because she's waiting, and it's the beginning of the situation that she's going to describe a few minutes later. It's a strange thing to be sitting like this on the stage as the spectator and the audience is coming in. I mean, I can't tell you all the thoughts that come through my mind at this moment. It's very strange. Plus, I'm reading that book. What book is it? It's The Lover by Marguerite Duras. And it's funny because I know very well the book because I'm doing readings of that book sometimes in France, and so I read the books. You know, I read the Lover. And it's interesting because in that book, Marguerite Duras speaks a lot about her mother precisely. So, what's it like looking at the audience as they pile in? What's it like looking at the audience?
I don't look at them. I try not
Don't
to,
look at them.
I try not to look at them. I try to not to create that bond too precise between, you know.
Keep the wall.
Yeah, to keep the wall, yes, exactly.
Justice, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about this. There's a number of people who work here who wanted me to ask you about this. I don't know if I'll say, but you are in a Pikachu movie, right?
Yeah.
It's an odd place to ask you about Detective Pikachu. What can you tell people about the movie? And Isabelle, are you as well excited for the Detective Pikachu movie?
Are you, Isabelle? It's the new movie that I've done, Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
When is it out?
It's out May. Oh, that's a good question.
Okay, well, I'll be gone, but
May-
I'm sure
May
it'll come to France.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
okay.
sure you got to go see it.
I will.
Yeah, that's nothing like this play, but I had an amazing time on that project. It was really cool to mix something that meant so much to me as a kid, to mix that with my craft. I know that word is portentous, but I'm going to use it.
No matter what movie you're doing, no matter what TV show you're doing, there is still craft involved.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cool to blend those two worlds. I'm really excited about it. I don't know. I mean, what do you want to know about it?
No, that was good.
Okay, great.
That was
great.
about it.
Yeah, go see it. It's awesome. It's really good. It's for everyone. It's not just for your kids. So
I mostly just wanted to see her say Detective Pikachu, really. I love the play so much. Thank you so much for being here and putting the play on. And thank you so much for your work over the years. You truly are one of the best that we have, if not the best. Everybody, please give a round of applause for Isabelle, Justice, and go see The Mother at the Atlantic.